Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Today, we're talking 1000X Productions and the Max Extractor. This is a topic that I'm extremely excited about, hyped up about. I am working on bringing a TV show about cryptocurrency to life, to the big screen. And today, I wanted to tell you all about it. I wanted to get into the nitty-gritty, the behind the scenes. And this isn't for everyone, but this is for you. If you want to know more about why I'm doing this, about how I'm doing this, what the vision is, what the goal is, what the motivation, the inspiration, then I want you to sit back, relax, and listen. Because I'm gonna take you on a goddamn ride, baby. So, to begin this story about the Max Extractor, we have to start with me, Gabriel Haynes. I've been creating crypto content for the past 5-6 years at this point. And I've started a couple different projects, or tried to, successfully, unsuccessfully. Creator DAO, which was a marketing DAO for content creators. Clipto, which was a Cameo crypto version, something that I dreamed up and I thought about. But, you know, these projects, they've kind of petered out. And one of my big learnings, especially from Clipto, was that I am not a tech guy. I don't know anything about code. I don't know how to write code. I don't know how to read code. And that leaves me at a serious disadvantage if I'm going to try and manage people who write code, because I'm not going to have any insight. I have no expertise. I have no knowledge. So I realized in the wake of Clipto that I need to focus not on trying to make a business around tech. I need to make a business around the content. And more specifically, making better content. And this is a learning that I had maybe 2022 when I was working on Clipto and ultimately decided to stop working on it for those reasons. Fast forward, I was watching an interview with Theo Vaughn and what's his name? Kenny Powers from Eastbound and Down. He also wrote Righteous Gemstones. And he was talking about how he wrote Righteous Gemstones and several other shows. And that really inspired me to just sit down and to write something. You know, we all watch shows on Netflix and we're all like, this is so boring. This is crap. I could do better than this. And so Gabriel Haynes, in his infinite hubris, thought, I can do better than this shit. Because at the end of the day, there is a lot of shit in the content world. A lot of boring stuff that I'm not quite sure how it gets made. It's cringe. It's inauthentic. But you can whine and complain, or you can take action. You can try to do something. You can see it as an opportunity, and that's what I did. So I was really inspired. And I sat down and I wrote a story. And this story is based on the character of Hayden Davis. Now, Hayden Davis is a guy that I actually don't know too much about. But I know he is a pompous asshole, for lack of a better term. You know, at the beginning of the year, there was a huge Libra scandal where the president of Argentina, who he promoted the shitcoins. But the president of Argentina has this reputation of being this good guy, conservative person. Like, he's gonna take down all the liberal bullshit. He's gonna enact free markets. He's gonna bring up, you know, the poverty from all the people. He's gonna make everyone rich. You know, he studies the Torah. The Jews love him. So he has this kind of like reputation. He's hanging out with Trump. He's hanging out with Musk. But anyway, this guy Milei promotes this shitcoin. This was at the beginning of the year. And there hasn't been a ton of follow-up in lieu of the 99% rug. And I haven't heard anything, not too much about the story. But in my mind, this was a very big story because it was just so crazy how this Hayden guy convinced the president of Argentina or another president to launch this shitcoin. And, you know, our president, Trump, did a similar thing, but the Libra coin felt a little bit different to me because, yes, shitcoin, whatever, but there were a lot of promises that came along with it. He was saying that we're going to build schools, we're going to build homes, we're going to feed the people all through this shitcoin, which obviously is not the case. And I found very disingenuous. But additionally, this Hayden guy, he was saying some crazy stuff about the president of Argentina. I control this N-word, quote unquote, I control this N-word about a president. Okay? That's insane. Yo lo controlo, they were reporting it in Argentina. Like, that just stuck out in my mind. Like, how can you say that? What kind of person do you have to be in order to have that amount of hubris, that big of an ego, to write down in a text message that you control the president of Argentina and he's an N-word? Like, that is insane. So, coming back to the Max Extractor, that name, oh, by the way, that name, Max Extractor, is also something Hayden said. I want to max extract on this one, boys. It's like, who says that? Who writes that down? Like, what is going on through your mind in order to feel comfortable enough to say those type of things? And imagine if that's what you're saying in public. I can't even imagine the things you're saying in private. Like, it's got to be next level. Anyway, so instead of trying to uncover more, do a documentary about this particular story, or like actually expose what actually happened, which I think would be quite difficult. I think someone should try to do it. I don't think it should be me. But I've taken a slightly different approach, which is just being inspired by this story and so many other stories in cryptocurrency. I decided to put something together that kind of represented the day-to-day of the CT degenerate. As someone who's been on crypto Twitter every day for years, for better, for worse, there are a lot of crazy, dramatic things that happen on a regular basis that aren't captured by the media. I mean, in TV or in the news or whatever. And even if it is, it could be very dry and it's presented in a very cold manner, perhaps. Compared to what these types of things are, it could be a lot more exciting because these things are actually crazy, wild, hundreds of millions of dollars being thrown around every single day. Presidents, celebrities, you know, all of these high-profile people intermingling with scammers, criminals, degenerates. Like this meeting of society, crypto has all parts of the world involved in it, right? From the richest to the poorest, literally, cryptocurrency is there. And some people asked me, hey, Gabriel, you love cryptocurrency, right? Why don't you want to why are you portraying it in such a bad way? Why are you showing all the bad things, the scams, the hacks, the degeneracy? Show the goodness. And I say to those people, you are dumb. Because that's not what's really happening. And that's exactly what I want to show. I want to make a show that is authentic, that is real. Cryptocurrency itself is neutral. It's just a tool. Money can be used for good, it can be used for bad. A hammer can be used to put in a nail or it could be used to smash in someone's head. It's just a tool. The hammer is not good or bad. Cryptocurrency is not good or bad. It's just a tool. And ultimately, this is what people are using the tool for. Do I think people should scam, hack, and steal? No, of course not. But it's exciting as fuck. And that's the things that we like. That's what we like to watch. That's what we like to see. Especially me. That's what I like to see. I love seeing stuff like The Wire, breaking down how drug dealers, do their business. Breaking Bad, again. Walter White is not a good guy. He is not a person that, you have to show that he is so good, but it's entertaining. And ultimately, you're rooting for him and you're rooting against him at the same time. And that's a very fine line to walk, but it's also real. Because at the end of the day, no person is all good, no person is all bad. Just like cryptocurrency. So again, I just want to show the things that happen in reality, and I want it to be fun. I want it to be entertaining. I want it to be educational. In the same way that Wolf of Wall Street was all these things, fun, entertaining, educational. In the same way that The Big Short was fun, entertaining, and educational. They talked about really dry, complicated, difficult to understand topics and presented them to the audience in such a way that was fun and exciting. CDOs, a CDO, no one knew what a CDO is before The Big Short, but now after you watch The Big Short, it's dog shit wrapped in cat shit. Everyone remembers that. And that's what it was. And that's all you need to know. And I want to do the same thing for crypto. And my content, aside from this pilot, has always been about education. And even in the entertainment stuff that I do, there's always a level of truth. There's always a message that is real. In the best videos, in in the videos that do the best and perform the best, it's because people connect to them and people identify with what I'm saying because there's truth in it. So, telling that story is what I want to do. And what I was saying before is that when I started kind of educationally, just dryly, literally explaining what does this do in crypto? What does that do? What does this app do? How does this app get yield, etc., etc. But as time went on, the entertainment, it became more and more about the entertainment in my content, the yelling, this, because you can actually, because it resonates with way more people. And you actually have a way bigger effect than if you were to do it seriously or whatever. Because there are documentaries about the financial crisis, and I've watched them, and I love them. But The Big Short is more iconic than all of those. Why? Because it's more entertaining. It's more interesting. People can connect to it. And I want to do the same thing for cryptocurrency. So this particular pilot, I wrote this pilot because specifically, I wrote this 30-page pilot because I wanted to submit it to a script writing festival. So as I was writing this script, I was inspired, I was writing, and I wrote a lot more than initially what's in the pilot. I wrote a broader, much overarching story. But I narrowed in on creating this 30-page pilot because A, I wanted to submit it to this script writing contest, and B, because I wanted to actually finish something. It can be really easy, especially in creatives, to say you're working on something and just to leave it open-ended. You know, I'm writing a book and it's been 10 years and you're writing this fucking book. Finish, you know, just finish the fucking thing. So I finished what I think, what I know is a very compelling pilot. That, and in this pilot, we begin to tell the story of this character, Hayden, who ultimately will launch a shitcoin with the president of Argentina. To me, an individual doesn't just start launching shitcoins with presidents. There's obviously a buildup. There's obviously a backstory. There's obviously a lot more to that situation than the surface. So this pilot deals exactly with that, the backstory. This has nothing to do with the president, blah, 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 blah. This is just building, really building the world of Hayden Davis and building the world of crypto that we experience on the day-to-day. So briefly, what this pilot is about. It's about a guy, Hayden, who he made a whole bunch of money in crypto. Everyone thinks that he is this big shot. You know, but as time goes on, he loses the money. He gets into a little bit of trouble. He has to borrow money from some shady characters trying to make up his, you know, trying to meet his financial obligations. And, of course, he leverage trades it and he gets liquidated. It's a very brief story. But brief overview of the pilot. And from there, the idea is to introduce more crypto schemes, scams that Hayden does in order to make the money back that he lost for these shady people. So that's the idea in a nutshell. And again, all of these themes, all of the things that I write about in this pilot are all things that are very, very real in the world of crypto. And again, the story is made up, but it's all these things have elements of truth. So it's very, very common in crypto to have all these people, not even in crypto, but just in general, in our world, in society, all of these people that have a Rolex, they have a Lamborghini just like mine, parked here. This is actually a removable hardtop. Murcielago, thank you very much. But in this world of Instagram, of flexing, of this, everyone seems to be this big shot, but actually no one is, right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing, borrowing to trade in crypto is something that so many people, I feel like, in cryptocurrency experience. I've seen so many times on the timeline, oh, I took out this loan. You know, I borrowed on this credit card to buy this. It's only 10% APR. Like, time and time and time again, I went to this bank and I myself did this with a loan they were offering. I think it was during COVID, they were offering very cheap loans. And I'm like, I'm going to put that in. I'm going to buy some Bitcoin. I bought Bitcoin. I paid off the loan, blah, made some Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. This is a very, very common thing that many, many people do. Don't do it. Don't borrow money to buy Bitcoin. It's retarded. Don't do that. But it's something that people do. And the leverage trading also is something, the leverage trading in this particular pilot is the climax. It is the zenith of this episode. Because leverage trading is so all-consuming. It is so addicting. It is, you get hooked in like crazy. It is like a drug. It is literally like a drug. You know, it is literally like a drug. A very, very powerful drug can send you to places. Nah, just kidding. But seriously, when you're trading hundreds of thousands of dollars in notional value, and you're watching, you know, the numbers go up in $1,000 increments every second, like, I just made $1,000. I just made $2,000. Oh, it's down to $1,500. Oh, I'm at $3,000. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh shit. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm at break even. It's okay. It's okay. Like, you cannot do anything else if you have a trade, like a big trade. Even if it's a small trade, sometimes you just get sucked into that price. And that's something that a lot of people experience. But I really want to put that experience through the TV, through the television, through the, you know, through the content, because it is very exciting. It is very engaging. It is something that people experience in cryptocurrency on a regular basis. And even and the lot, you know, it's going to be very nuanced. It's going to be very, you know, intricate. There's a lot of references to real life things in cryptocurrency, because that's what I want it to be. I want it to be as if you are in the real world of cryptocurrency. You're living in that world day in, day out, as people like you and I do. So, real names, real people, real coins, real apps. That kind of stuff is really important for me, and I feel like that will make it, that will let the authenticity shine through. So I wrote the script, I submitted it to the festival, and kind of sat on it for a couple months because I didn't really know what the next step would be. But then I saw the first step in this process. I saw Jesse from Base talking to People Pleaser from Shibuya Films. I had not heard of Shibuya Films, but basically Shibuya is crowdsourcing films or TV shows. And People Pleaser put together a television show called White Rabbit that won an Emmy. And she and her team built a platform to help other creators fund television projects. So I thought, wow, that would be perfect for this. So I reached out to them. They, we had a call. They didn't seem particularly interested. They weren't interested, frankly. That's fine. They were busy. But after that call, I just realized to myself, like, at the end of the day, this is just a platform that can help me raise funds. Bottom line is I just need to raise the funds, right? If this is what, I don't need their help necessarily, because at the end of the day, I know that the people in my audience, the people that are, I'm interacting with, I'm in contact with, are the people that anyway I'm going to have to raise funds, so I don't need to go through them to you understand? So I started to think, like, how can I raise the funds for this? So the first step was to create the pitch deck, the holy pitch deck. And that's what I did. I put together a pitch deck based on the script, the ideas. I relied on the AI to help me come up with a plan, a realistic plan that I could execute on based on what I had laid out. So I put that all into a pitch deck, and I reached out. Actually, before I even made the pitch deck, I actually sent the script to the director, Sully. Sully is a guy who I worked with on a different project, DeFi app. We did an advertisement. I was really impressed by his work. He brought a real high level of professionalism to the shoot. And I had a really good vibe with him, and I really wanted to work with him again. And after I wrote this script, and I decided, hey, maybe I should raise some funds for this, I sent it over to him and I said, hey, do you like this? And he liked it a lot. He was really excited by it, and he wanted to be involved. So that was the first step in this project, because now I had someone who can help me make this vision come to life. Because, me with my iPhone in the Tesla is not going to sell this to HBO. We need a really, really high level, really, really professional level. We need something that is a package that we can show to the streaming network that will get them excited about what we're doing. And that's very obvious to me, even though I've never sold a show in my life. We need to create a tremendous amount of leverage in order to sell this show. But got off on a little sidetrack there. So we got Sully involved in the project. And I started to ask people, hey, because I heard something really important once. If you want to get money ask for advice. If you want to get advice, ask for money. I think Mark Cuban said that. So, what did I do? I asked for advice. I asked for advice from people that I really trusted, VCs in cryptocurrency, to help me come up with a strategy to get this funded. So, a couple people are like, blah, blah, blah. One guy, I don't want to say his name. Yeah, it's not. But he was the first investor. And he was actually the first commitment that I had to the project. And I didn't even ask him for money. I asked him for advice. I said, hey man, I got this project. I got this deck. What do you think I should do? And I had a call with him. And he said, well, you should raise some money. You should think of a structure that will, give the investors some upside. And I said, well, what do you think? And he, on that call, we discussed what would be a good structure, what he thought, a fair share would be. And basically, it's just a piece of the profit for the investors, obviously. And after the call, he sent me a message. He said, hey, I'm in for $7,000. And again, I didn't ask him. I said, hey, I need to raise this amount. This is what, I want to do. This is what I think. And, he said, okay, what do you think you can give the investors? We discussed it. He gave some ideas. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. After the call, boom, first commitment. I got super excited because that showed me that this is possible, that we can make this happen, that there may be other people who would be willing to put money into this particular idea. So, not only did that first investor give me the first commitment, he also gave me a really high level of confidence that I could go out and actually pitch this to people. Because, this guy who I highly respect, he said, I'm going to put some money in. This is a good idea. And if anyone gives me shit about it, I can always rely on, what this guy said. Again, I respect this guy. I can always take his backing and, fall back on that. So that gave me a lot of confidence to move forward. And so what I did in order to raise the money, I raised 150 in total. What I did to raise the money was just reach out to all of the people that I've developed a connection with, that I trust in the world of cryptocurrency, on the world of CT, the world that I've spent every day for 5 years, the people that I've seen, consistently, whether they're anonymous, whether they're doxxed, whether I've met them online or whether I've met them in person, doesn't matter. I reached out to the people that I feel have been consistent, have brought value to cryptocurrency. And I got a lot of yeses and I got a lot of nos. But ultimately, the plan worked and the funding was complete. And I made that video announcing it the other day. And I'm very, very happy that transpired. The funding was a very difficult, actually, and painful process. It's not really fun for me to go ask people for money. That's not my style. I'm not here asking for handouts. And that's not what I was doing, obviously. It's an investment. But still, it is a little bit uncomfortable. But that's fine. Because, again, that's put me in a discomfort zone where I can grow. I've never raised money before. So, doing that is a new challenge and a new opportunity for me to pursue something. And I think that doing this is so valuable for me, obviously, But for anyone in cryptocurrency, I really believe that one of the highest levels in cryptocurrency, the highest level is builder. The builder. There's the trader, the successful trader, and people can make a lot of money. But in my eyes, being a builder, someone who creates something, is something that I personally, and I think everyone, should transpire to be. And I'm not a good trader. I'm not going to pretend like, and if you're a great trader, you don't even build shit. You can just trade your way up to $1 billion, and that's okay. Like, that's fine. Trading, for me, I'm not particularly good at it. I have made good trades. I've made bad trades. But I actually find it very, very stressful and very, very time consuming. And being involved in price that way is not for everyone. And it's not necessarily for me. It's maybe for me in certain ways, but not for me in other ways. If that makes sense. But as I was saying, I think that it's being a builder in cryptocurrency is something that I really respect and I really strive for, and something that I really want to be, and something that, as I've discussed right at the beginning, I've been trying to make other projects, and even the content has always been a way to, build something. But I think that it's so important. It was so important for me to bring investors into this project, because the only way for this project to succeed is to have people with skin in the game who can sell this once it's complete. That's the bottom line. Because if it was just me with 150,000 bankrolling this entire thing, there would be no other people that would help me sell this. Each individual investor gives me way more opportunity to get this sold. Every single investor who has invested is going to share that pilot. Every single investor who has invested will likely make an effort to send it to their friends and family. Again, if they like it. If they hate it, no. But there is so much value in that. And you don't know if your cousin's mother is a big film producer, they just send it to them and boom, that's how. If I didn't have that investor involved, there would be zero chance of that happening. So having those people that I highly, highly trust and that have a massive voice in the world of cryptocurrency will make this project so much more successful. And for me personally, I believe that if you present a plan, take money for the plan, execute on that plan, you as an individual get so much more credibility than if you didn't do that. If you didn't take the money and didn't do it. Because now you're a person with a high level of trust. And in cryptocurrency, that is the most important thing. It's the most important thing in any business, but in crypto, it's so important, and it's so rare. It's so rare because we live in a world in crypto of scammers and grifters. And let me just tell you about something that was so painful in this money raising process. I sent the deck again to people that I really trust and I really respect and I really admire in the world of cryptocurrency. And one guy said to me, he called me a scammer, a grifter, because he didn't like my pitch deck. He said it was AI slop and that I should give the investors back their money, make a new pitch deck, and try to raise more in the future. I was so hurt by this because you are calling me a grifter after knowing me for years and years and years. I'm not grifting a thing. And then calling me this based on a pitch deck, and not asking any more questions, didn't make a lot of sense to me and really hurt my feelings. Again, this is someone that I had trusted enough to reach out to. So that happens when you put yourself out there. But I'm willing to take that pain in order to achieve the goal. And that's fine. And also, it's really important to get the investor feedback is so important. It's really important also to understand what feedback is important and what feedback to leave behind. Because that person who was saying your pitch deck is AI, obviously they didn't invest. They didn't care. And they thought something of me before I even sent that. So they were never going to invest, depending, even if I had the best pitch deck, whatever that means. And I thought I had a good pitch deck. We can go into the philosophy of pitch deck in a second, but regardless. The person that gave me that feedback, it was really important for me to disregard that feedback because it wasn't valuable to me in any way, shape, or form. However, one of the investors read the script. This is a very, very important piece of feedback. When the investors read the script, and he said, hey, this particular part of it doesn't make sense. And I thought about it, and he was 100% right. And I came up with a solution, and I reached back out to him, and I said, hey, you're right. I think we could change it, and we could do it this way. And he's like, yes. And you know what? I think that change in the script 100% makes the script better. And that is tremendous feedback that I got from an investor that I would have never gotten unless I went out and got the investors involved. That is so important for me because, again, I brought in people that live cryptocurrency every single day. And all of these people, and I want the script to be authentic. And it's authentic to their experience, just as it's authentic to mine. So again, a person who puts in money, who gives you feedback, who you 100% know they have your best interest in mind, and they're not just there to say yes, that is so, so valuable as someone who's trying to create a successful product, bottom line. And that is something that will make this a success for sure. On the topic of the pitch deck, I think that I just wanted to say that a pitch deck, to me, the goal is simply to communicate the objectives of the project. How much you need to raise, what you're trying to achieve, what timeline, who are the people involved, what is the market. That's it. And for a project like mine, it's very simple. It's a TV show. The target audience is the same demographic as the people that love and enjoy cryptocurrency, primarily men, 20s to 60s, people who watch streaming online, probably skews to a younger audience, people interested in other movies like Wolf of Wall Street, Big Short. These are the type of people that we're targeting. But regardless, they said, I was just getting back to this idea. So about the idea of feedback, they said, redo the pitch deck. I thought the pitch deck was very good in communicating those things. I don't know what I could have done better. And in fact, I think that and they said it was AI. I don't understand that criticism. Because in this day and age, using AI is a necessity. What did you want me to do? Hire a graphic designer to make a more attractive pitch deck? The pitch deck is going to have zero impact on the actual product, on the actual thing you're investing in. And if you're so caught up in the AI slop, then you're definitely not someone that sees the vision. Full stop. Me, if I'm investing in someone, I want them to be smart. Use AI to create interesting graphics. Use AI to sharpen your ideas. So what if you used AI? I really didn't understand that. And that is the type of feedback that is not valuable. Someone who didn't put money in, someone who gives you feedback that doesn't necessarily resonate, that is feedback that you need to leave on the side. And knowing that difference is super valuable. So, again, getting the investors in was the next step after writing the script. And I got some incredible investors, including a sponsorship by Jen Zcash, which I'm really, really happy about. Because again, Zcash is a real thing in the world of cryptocurrency. It will feel very natural for me to include Zcash in the other collective of BTC, ETH, Solana, ETH, Zcash. No one will bat an eye, especially these days when Zcash is pumping to the moon. And it's been around so long that it is a fundamental part of cryptocurrency, regardless of the price action, the project itself. So thank you again to Zcash. So the next step is, of course, once the money was raised, I made the announcement video. And the next step is moving on to the production and also to get you, the audience, involved. That's a big part of why I'm doing this way, talking to you about the entire process. Because, again, I do not believe that this project can be successful unless we have a very strong, excited, built-in audience. And that's you, the viewer. And that's why I want to bring you guys in from the beginning, from before we shot, from before we casted, from before anything, because I want you involved in this project, because I really, really believe that if you are involved in this project, it can be successful. In fact, the only way for this project to be successful is for you to get involved. So, if you would like to get involved, you can contribute on the juice box. There's some rewards there. You can buy some merch, but it doesn't have to spend money. You can just follow along, comment, provide valuable feedback. Think about the project. Get in the Telegram chat. Talk about it. Spread it to your friends. That is what I need, and that is what I want. Also, very selfishly, I really think that this project could set me up for a very, very long time. I believe, obviously, that crypto is not going anywhere. And there needs to be more media, there's more shows that talk about this in a fun and exciting way. Right now, as of today, the media that covers cryptocurrency it's not there. And just like when I started, the social media content about crypto was very, very minimal. Today, there's a lot. There's streamers, Zoomers, vape cabals. When I got started, there was Bankless and there was DeFi Dad. That was it. That was it. Today, there's podcasts. there's so much more in the realm of social media content, but actually in the realm of streaming entertainment, there isn't almost any at all. There's some documentaries covering hacks and scams, and that can be exciting, and that is important. But telling an authentic story, fictional story, an authentic fictional story can be very, very powerful. Way more powerful than a documentary if done correctly. It's not a given. But again, as me, Gabriel, as someone who has spent every single day thinking about crypto, involved in crypto, and making content about crypto for over 5 years, I feel that I'm uniquely positioned to tell this story more than any other project or idea that actually exists, and more than any person in crypto. I really, really believe that. I don't think that there is anyone in crypto, or out of crypto for that matter, that is in a position to create a world like the one that we are creating. Because it needs to be done in a way that is authentic and grassroots. And it's not something that you can just start today. It's something that I've started many, many years ago, and I'm carrying it forward. So I brought you guys in on the project as well. So please get involved however you would like. I would really, really appreciate it. And now, moving forward, like I said, the next step is bringing on a crew, a team, not only a director, a production team that can make this happen. So I scheduled a call with the production team. I am thinking of doing this in New York, upstate New York. Sully, the director, I worked with him. That was also in upstate New York, in Rochester. We were thinking of doing it in a similar area. When I wrote this script, the vibe felt very New York. It's based in New York, I would say. Definitely the tri-state. He definitely works in New York, I would say, the main character. So doing it in New York State, I think in upstate is a very good option, especially filming it during the cold months will give that cold feeling throughout the show. And yeah, it's not a warm, it's very cold. It's very cold. It's jackets, Again, authentic. I want it to be authentic. I don't want to film it in Miami and pretend to wear a jacket. Let's make it all aligned. So doing it in Buffalo, I still need to negotiate with the production team. It's gonna be very important to stick to a budget. Don't have infinite amount of funds to make this happen. We have a limited amount of funds, and I realize that. And I want to make it work with what we have. So the first step is to get a breakdown from the production team as to what they think it will cost. Based on that feedback, I'm going to work with the director to edit the script and slightly change it to fit that mold if necessary. Additionally, the director already suggested a couple changes to the script, which I believe make it a lot stronger, a lot more exciting, a lot more compelling, which is what I ultimately want. And we will include those as well. The vision for this particular project is to create an amazing 20 to 25 minute pilot. In TV, the concept of a pilot is kind of a test episode. It's the first episode in a TV show. And the pilot episode is not necessarily always the first episode in the actual TV show. It can be slightly separate at times, which is what this will be. And let me explain. Ultimately, what I'm doing here in this pilot is not going to be exactly what we create in the first episode of the series Max Extractor. Because in this pilot, we're not actually building up to another episode necessarily. We are trying to create something very compelling in the moment that people will want to watch the next episode. There's a slight nuance there. So, this pilot is meant to be as exciting, as compelling, as engaging as possible. And it will be very similar to the first episode of the season that we do eventually create in the Max Extractor, but it will be slightly different for the reasons that I mentioned. For example, I will give you an example of this. Curb Your Enthusiasm, a tremendous show. Tremendous. You can look up the pilot for Curb Your Enthusiasm, and it is actually different than the pilot, than the first episode, episode 1, season 1. They're very similar, the pilot and episode 1, season 1, but they're not exactly the same. So if you want to understand that, feel free to do a little bit more research. Okay? For now, I think I've pretty much covered a lot of this topic. My goal is to put this out at the beginning of next year, February. After that, I would like to sell this to HBO. And that's it. That's my plan, and I'm sticking to it. So, for now, thank you very, very much for taking the time to watch this, to spend some time with me, Gabriel Haynes. Please make sure you follow 1000X Productions at 1000X Prod. Make sure, if you would like to contribute on Juicebox and get a producer's credit, you can do that. If you want to buy a shirt, you can do that. Join the Telegram. Come chat. Ask questions. I want you to be included in this process. A transparent and open pilot for all. So let's send 1000X Productions to the goddamn moon. I'm super excited about this project. I'm hoping that it will be tremendous. I know it will be tremendous. I'm aiming to bring you regular updates on where I'm at in the process. I want to film on location, choosing the locations, casting, all that type of stuff. I want that all to be included in the run-up for this amazing pilot. The greatest cryptocurrency show the world has ever seen. Thank you again for watching. Gabriel Haynes, 1000X Productions to the